What is up, everybody? Welcome to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Bets and Run Pure Sports special trade deadline edition. Hey, we're kind of in a weird spot today, right, guys? We got to balance getting the trade news and figuring out who's going to play tonight with actually getting this video out in time for some of the guys, who don't watch live, who watch it later, to still be able to watch the whole video before the games start, because after the games tip, the information isn't doing us any good. So we're kind of in a weird spot, but we're going to try and make it work. Tyler, how you feeling about today's flurry of trade activity?
I mean, it's pretty tough to keep up with. They're coming left and right. But for the past hour, it seemed to have died down, which means we're going to get all hell breaking loose from 2 to 3 o'clock. But I mean, I think we can find some winners here today.
Right now. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. But let's just jump into the games, and we'll do what we can. And we'll kind of talk about the trades at the end. So I'll try to hold off, especially because the Trailblazers, probably one of my hottest takes on the trade. But obviously, Gary Trent Jr. is out of there. And who have the Heat traded anyone yet? That's just out. We'll just talk.
They made one small trade with your Kings.
But they didn't give up anyone.
Is that how you say the name?
Oh, they added Bielitsa, but he's not playing.
Yeah.
So for as far as capping tonight, that doesn't matter. Miami is -2, hosting the Trailblazers. What do you think of this game, Tyler?
This game's weird because we just got that Butler questionable tag put out. So this could be a Portland spot. But if Butler plays when Miami's on a skid, our guy HTP has hit on it. That's when Butler usually plays at his best because he hates being on a losing streak. Usually comes in, plays tough, and they usually come out with a win. But, with all these trade news and Portland losing Gary Trent, I kind of like the under here.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how much it affects the total. Obviously, it affects the side. When Powell arrives, he'll help the team a lot. And you talked about the skid, right? They have been losing. Let's look at Miami's. They've lost 4 in a row. They lost by 10 to Phoenix. They lost by 3 to Indiana. They lost by 27 to Indiana. Lost by 4 to Memphis. All fairly good teams, right? So those are respectable losses. But you're right, 4 in a row. And to speak to your point, 3 of those 4 losses went under. The only one where they gave up 137 to Indiana in that game. So Tyler kind of likes the Blazers here. And the total's 217.5. I think out of everything, I would like the under the best.
Yeah, I think that's the best spot in this game.
All right. But as of course, guys, today, okay, usually a lot of times, right? Everything we do is leans. Today, everything's going to be leans unless we specifically say so. There's no reason to get your money down early. Everything could be torn upside down. So unless you feel like you are ahead of news, I don't think there's any reason to bet early, and that's kind of how we are taking it. I have nothing for the members over at runpurebets.com on our bet sheet yet. For that very reason, I would just hate to be usurped, at the end of the day and, place a bet and then a major player gets taken out. So we're going to go ahead and just talk about these games, what we expect, and then we're really going to just spend some time talking about the trades because I think it's going to be tough to place these bets early today. Let's talk about the Washington Wizards heading to New York to take on your Knicks. Who are the outgoing players for the Wizards today? Looks like
Troy Brown and Mo Wagner.
Okay, so that's just slight depth, right? Something we deal with every day when we're handicapping this team. And the Knicks sent out Terrence Ferguson, Poirier, and Brazdeikis, who I've never even seen play. So that's
the only guy that was sent out from them in that trade was Brazdeikis. They return. They get Ferguson in return and the Poirier guy.
Okay, and so none of those guys are really matter at all when we're handicapping this game. So we can pretty much handicap this game. Let's talk about it, assuming no more trades come in, and this is just what we've got here. What do you think about the Knicks in this game here, Tyler?
This is a rematch from a couple of nights ago. I think they played on Tuesday night.
Yeah, they did.
New York won that game I think it was 131 to $113. Julius Randle was on fire from 3.
Mm-hmm.
And the total in that game was 221, and it's only ticked up 3 points to 224.
Yeah.
I want to go over again here. I know the zigzag effect has been in play a lot this year, But I just think Washington's defense is so bad, and the Knicks rank second in 3-point percentage over their last 5 games. I think they'll pour on points here and score close to 120. And at that point, you just need the Wizards to keep it within 10. They break 110 points, you're over.
Yeah. All right. I like the over too. And I'll tell you what, the zigzag effect is really the only thing keeping me off the side here. I was on the Knicks on Tuesday. I quite enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I had given it out as a play to the members. And I like to keep, some of my plays close to the vest. And then Mangone and JSU liked the Wizards here, right? So for the members that had already bet before the show, we were all on the Knicks, but unfortunately the show gave out the Wizards. I'd love the matchup though. It's like I get a team that plays defense against the team that doesn't play defense.
Yep.
So when it comes down to it, if it's close, I just trust the Knicks to be able to get baskets more than the Wizards. Now I know that the Wizards have great, shot creators, and Beal can score against anyone. And I mean, this is where the zigzag just seems like it's going to be like the main reason you wouldn't do it. Are the Knicks going to be overconfident? Do the Wizards come in extra motivated? Do they have extra things to build on or learn from? And one of the reasons it's like Scott Brooks isn't a good coach. So should I be worried about the zigzags? I mean, are they even going to make the adjustments even if they're obvious?
Yeah. So it's one of those tough spots. And plus, I mean, the Knicks are finally looking like they're fully healthy. I mean, they were the only guy they were bringing in that before Bullock was announced out, that was on the injury report was Austin Rivers, and he got traded. So now the only guy out for them is Bullock. They should have Rose back. I'm not sure how much he plays since dealing with COVID. But, I mean, their guard rotation other than that's healthy. So I think they pour it on today.
All right. So we both like the over in that game. I lean towards the Knicks, have yet to decide. Plus, we got to see if there's more news coming in before.
I don't think you'll get major trade news out of this game.
I don't think we will from either of these teams to either. But let's just hold on.
Our guy Joey in the chat saying, "Don't be mad at me. I put my first ever NBA pick on the spreadsheet last night." We are mad, Joey. That's a winner.
Yeah, Joey work means Joey wins. Joey puts in those works to get the wins. So. No, keep going, Joey. We love it. And hopefully we'll get you on the NBA rundown soon. Tyler, let's run down the Clippers, 29-16, 25-20 against the spread, going to San Antonio to take on the Spurs. This is another rematch, right?
Yep.
And it was -6 last time. Now it's a -6.5. Now the Spurs are coming off. That's 3 straight losses. And the last loss was at the Clippers last night, 33 points. Tyler, how are we approaching this game with a total of 223.5?
I kind of lean under here, but I want to target a Spurs team total under. They're setting that number right around 108.5. The Spurs have only broken that number 3 of their last 10 and 1 of their last 4 playing at home versus the Clippers. Right. Now, this is one of them games where you could get trade news out of because this is a team that is looking at Kyle Lowry, a team that's also looking at Lonzo Ball. So I'd be hesitant to lock that bet in yet. Once the 3 p.m. deadline passes, if nothing happens and you get that full rotation, I'm taking that Spurs team total under.
All right. Sounds like a plan. So as we said, most of these are all just speculative leans and subject to review after we get the full deadline. But we are going to be with you guys up to the deadline. So we will be able to lock in at the end of the show if we get no news, kind of lock in some of these leans that we have right before we give out. We'll give out some best bets early, but we might do a second segment today.
The Raptors made a trade, but it wasn't Kyle Lowry.
All right, let's hear it, Tyler. Breaking news. What do we got?
They sent Matt Thomas to Utah for a second-round pick, so they're opening up a roster spot.
And that would make sense because if they were to trade Lowry, they would need extra spots, right?
Yep.
Because it's going to take more than one player to match that salary, so...
It says the Raptors are also seriously engaged in trade talks with Lakers Heat. Raptors are seeking Talen Horton-Tucker or Tyler Hero.
I would 10 times rather have Tyler Hero than Horton-Tucker. But
I don't think Horton-Tucker is all that good. I think he's just the LA hype behind him and the LeBron effect when he gave him his word.
Yeah, and anyone, most of these guys can do that good if you give them the usage. So,
yep. Totally agree.
And also because they're so top heavy on that team, he doesn't have much depth to fight against to stand out. Let's talk about the Lakers. The Philadelphia 76ers are in Los Angeles tonight. Philadelphia is -6. All right, who's out for Philadelphia? Because if you've been watching the show since the LeBron injury happened, I am on the Lakers fade train. Is there any reason that I should not be tonight?
I mean, I think even if you get, well, I think that they said the 76ers are out of the Lowry sweepstakes. But if for some reason they jump back in and you do get more guys traded off this Philly team, you're still going to have Harris and Simmons out there, two best players on the floor.
Yeah, because they're not getting traded, right?
Exactly. So
I mean,
still
really,
think
it's
Philly
only
wins
Danny
this game.
Green that's probably going to get traded at this point, right?
Well, they already traded Tony Bradley. They're starting they're in place starting center for Joel Embiid.
But with Dwight Howard, right? They can easily absorb that.
Yep.
Because you're not doing a 3-center rotation in the playoffs because they need Embiid to be successful. So that makes perfect sense. So
I do have one play I kind of like in this game, though.
What is that?
It's on FanDuel. It's under the player performance doubles. Tobias Harris has gotten a double-double in 2 of his last 3 games, and they just traded away a center who's gobbling up rebounds, and now he's going to get more chances. Double-double and Philly wins is plus 400 on FanDuel. I'm taking.
Who needs a double-double? Say that one more time.
Tobias Harris. He's gotten one 2 of his last 3 games. Still no.
Is he getting him with the rebounds?
Yep.
Yeah, because I say you're not going to get the assists out of him, right?
Yeah.
He's getting the points, so you're basically
the points are good.
So you're basically betting Tobias Harris gets more than 10 rebounds and Philly wins.
Yep.
Right.
You're getting plus 400 on it.
All right. I don't hate that play at all. And I'll tell you what, as of right now, this is the top contender to be my best bet. I think the Lakers fade is pretty straightforward. And let's go ahead and we'll talk about these last couple games and see if we can find something better in the constantly shifting landscape of the NBA. The Sacramento Kings, did you see what we did today, Tyler?
No, what'd you guys do?
Added DeLon Wright.
Oh, that was last night.
That was last night.
Yeah, the DeLon Wright. That was the first trade that went down. I mean, it's not a terrible trade. He's like a solid backup point guard for Fox.
I was just surprised. They basically said to me that they were being buyers and not sellers, and I thought for sure, that they were going to get rid of Hield and Barnes. And my idea on that is if they want to keep Rashawn Holmes in free agency, they're going to need more money. But let's go ahead and break down this game, and then we'll go through all the trades and their ramifications. The Golden State Warriors 22-22, 21-23 against the spread. It's a quick trip up north. Trust me, I made it a lot of times. 19-25, 19-24 against the spread for Sacramento. We are laying 2.5 because this Warriors team struggles on offense without Steph Curry. Not that surprising. What do you think of this game, Tyler? I'm rooting for losses for the Kings. I want that draft position. This looks like a night where I think the Kings could win. What do you think?
I'm on the other side here.
Really good, because I haven't made the bet, and I want the Kings to lose. I want Kate Cunningham.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll get down that far now, but you might get into some Jalen Suggs, Sharif Cooper sweepstakes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Sacramento's off that tough win last night against Atlanta. Atlanta did everything they could to try and steal that game late.
Yeah.
But I mean,
they should have won that game.
This just seems like the spot where it's a letdown for Sacramento. They come out, they play no defense. They let the shooters for Golden State get going. Them guys like Damian Lee, Jordan Poole, Wiggins. If Oubre isn't moved in the next 45 minutes, they should all light it up.
All right. And I don't like Golden State's ability to score in basically, Sacramento's going to put you into shootout because they're just going to run and they're going to score and they're not going to defend. But I just don't trust the Warriors to take advantage of it as much as some other scorers do, where it's just so easy for them to get points. It just seems like even a minimal defensive effort by Sacramento, and they could have a big advantage here. You do make a good point about the letdown spot, though. One of the reasons I hadn't bet this game yet, and I was just curious to see if Holmes and Barnes were going to be moved or Buddy Hield. Obviously, that would change things drastically. Like I said, I guess with the trade of DeLon Wright, I should have known, but really, they didn't give up that much for DeLon Wright, so I guess they could still make that trade.
Yeah, I mean, you just gave up Corey Joseph. That's not a terrible give up.
Oh no, it's great. Corey Joseph is not popular in Sacramento. It's just he doesn't fit that well to play behind Fox, right? Who comes in who's so fast and gets things done, and then you kind of got this slow half-court oriented point guard. It just doesn't transition well for the team. So, all right, so let's do this right now, Tyler. That was the quick 5 games. Why don't we give out a best bet for right now for the people that just care about the gambling picks, and then for everyone else that wants to talk some basketball, we'll be reading stuff out of the chat, and we'll go ahead and break down some of this trade deadline news. So, quick through the 15 games, but we didn't do any DFS breakdowns. So for guys that are watching or are used to the DFS breakdowns, the only thing I would say is if Tyler gives a prop over on the player, he's worth a look at rostering. Worth a look. Obviously pricing matters, but you can't go wrong taking the players that HTP and Tyler target. That's why I say the DFS and the bet side go hand in hand. So that's something that we're looking for. Also, reminder, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. So Tyler, gave you a little time there with the warm-up. Best bet time. What are you thinking?
I think I'm going to roll with that Spurs team total under because I don't
Okay.
think they get involved in the Lowry sweepstakes.
Okay.
I seen they said Lowry's preferred destination is now Miami, and Miami's offered up Duncan Robinson in the trade package.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I think that they might get the deal done. So I think that's going to be my spot tonight. Spurs team total under.
All right, and my best bet will be I'm going to continue the Lakers fade until they make me lay like 9 or more. But the Philadelphia 76ers, it's actually down to -5.5. That's the number I'm giving it out. You can grab it right now at Bookmaker, -5.5, only -108 juice, which is one of the reasons why I prefer Bookmaker. But, you made the great point. Even if Philadelphia continues to make trades, Simmons is probably not out the door, right?
There's no way
Unless
Simmons,
they sneak
Simmons
him in
or
for
Harris
Bradley
gets shipped
Beal and
out.
we never hear about it. Yeah. So I'm still going to get the 2 best players. I think they'll work around it. Obviously, this Lakers team is so top heavy. Their depth players are struggling to find their new roles, and I'm going to continue to fade the Lakers until the books adjust. So Philadelphia -5.5, my best bet for the day. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us. That is the bets portion of the show. And as we get more news, we might update, right? If we hear something, we might say, okay, that pushed us here on a lean that we discussed earlier. So if you guys want to hang out now, though, and throw some stuff in the chat, what we're going to do is just talk about these trades, their implications, and break some news maybe, too, as Tyler is going to be on the phone checking Twitter. So, Tyler, do you want to start reading off some trades and we can each give our thoughts on them?
Yeah, here, we'll just start from – we drop down to the bottom of the list. We'll start with the first trade that started this all, your DeLon Wright, Corey Joseph. I mean, we already basically touched on it, but,
yeah,
I mean, solid backup point guard, better change of pace guy, and they only gave up 2 second-round picks.
Yeah. So I thought DeLon Wright might get a late first. Are you surprised that he's only worth 2 seconds, or was I kind of overvaluing him?
I think it's a slight overvalue. I mean, just the usage in Detroit kind of helped him look a little better.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll see how he plays as a backup.
All right. Fairly simple. The Pistons continue to signal that they're just going build. One of the few sellers who grabbed a couple second-round picks for DeLon Wright. Tyler, give me the next trade.
It is the Nuggets acquiring JaVale McGee for Isaiah Hartenstein, a 2023 second-round pick, and a 2027 second-round pick.
All right, yeah, another couple second rounders for JaVale McGee. That seems right. Ideally, right, he's going to give you, 10, 12 minutes a game in the playoffs. So that's
yeah, he's another
picks.
solid big man if they run into the Lakers in the playoffs to throw at them.
No, and they do have issues. Like, can you imagine if McGee was there last year when Howard was completely pummeling them on the boards during the reserve minutes, right? I mean, I thought that was the difference to the game, or the series, the fact that the difference on the boards. It was just so tough. The Nuggets finally get a stop, and they're unable to do one. McGee boxes out, grabs rebounds, changes some shots at the rim. That's a good addition for 2 second-round picks. So 2 for 2 on trades that make sense. No hot takes yet. What else we got?
We got the biggest trade of the day, probably, with the Bulls acquiring Nikolai Vucevic and Al-Farouq Amino for Otto Porter, Wendell Carter, and 2 first-rounders.
I love this trade, isn't it? I didn't hear Vucevic's name. I was surprised. I thought they were gonna keep with him. This number one signals that the Magic are sick of just being the 8th seed all the time. They're reading the writing on the wall. They're grabbing the 2 first-rounders. I guess Wendell Carter Jr. also has potential to develop, and he's on, the younger timeline. Then for the Bulls, like when we're going against them, right? And JSU called it. I missed my pick yesterday when I took the Bulls over the Cavaliers, but they were just getting destroyed inside, right? Now they went from that being a weakness to a strength, right? I mean, Vukovic isn't the best rim protector, but he's stronger than what they had, right? And offensively, they went from like a 2 out of 10 to like a 9 out of 10, other than Jokic, and Embiid, there's no better center you can get. The Bulls have decided, hey, we're not sellers, we're buyers. We're going to go ahead and make a run, and I love it. And I love the fact that Orlando read the writing on the wall. They're stopping, hey, we're going to be competitive. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. They're doing a full rebuild like they probably should have done a couple years ago. So I think this is a great trade. What do you think, Tyler? I mean, where do you put the Bulls now in the East?
I mean, I think they were right on that like play-in seed spot. So, I mean, I would probably push them over. Here, hold on. We got a trade.
All right. Break the news, Tyler.
The Hawks are finalizing a trade to send Rondo to the Clippers. So there is a Clippers deal on the table for a point guard. I think that pulls them out of the Lonzo sweepstakes. And that leaves
I don't see how they ever could have got Lonzo.
Well, you know who that leaves in the run for Lonzo spread?
Chicago.
The good old New York Knicks.
Let's see what you guys would have to give up.
Yeah. But as for that Vucevic trade, I mean...
Yeah, let's break that down real quick and then move on.
They're sitting at the 10th seed, so they're right around that play-in spot. I think that trade part pushes them at least into the 8th seed. Maybe even up a little higher.
Farther. I think farther.
I mean, Zach LaVine, Nikolai Vucevic pick and roll is going to be tough to stop because Vuce can shoot too, so it could turn into a pick and pop.
Yeah. So,
I mean, this team could look really nice.
Their offense is going to be top-notch now.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is just...
And I know everyone's not big on marketing, but having marketing in the corner while they run that pick and roll isn't bad either because he can shoot the 3. So, I mean, you can start stretching things out.
S here. We got another Tyler here hanging out. He says they need to get Lonzo.
They're the other team that's in for Lonzo. I wouldn't mind that move either.
No, but I love your point about marketing. I think that it's going to make things so much easier for him because as much as they want to make it happen, he can't be a small ball 5. He has at most he's a stretch 4. Maybe just a slow 3, but. Yeah, I mean, that's just fantastic. So give me another one, and we'll go ahead and break that one down. But I think it should move Chicago up out of the play-in picture to their goal better be a top 6.
All right, so we have
in the play-in with this trade.
We had the second of the Orlando fire sale where they traded Evan Fournier to the Celtics for only 2 second-round picks. I think that's a steal and a half for the Celtics.
And Celtics Twitter is pissed.
Imagine me picking up a guy that for nothing.
Yeah, well, what they're mad about is they don't feel that they fully used the trade exception because that's 17 of the 27. So,
what were you going to go out and get a max player with a trade exception and second round picks? Like you don't have a plethora of first round picks to trade off.
I know, and I think that that's what they're not being realistic about. Is that other than first round picks, they really didn't have much to offer. Like
this was probably one of the best deals they could have did.
Yeah.
It's like you get a guy that you can bring in and put him on the bench, and he can come in and torch team second units. Or you plug him into the starting lineup and move, who would that be? Smart down, because Smart's starting right now. Move him back to the bench.
No. You use him like you used Gordon Hayward last year. He's the 6th man. It's basically admitting, hey, we made a mistake letting Hayward go. We needed that third wing, the extra scorer, right? The extra guy that can create, especially with the bench unit. And then you're paying less for it. I don't understand what they're so upset about. Then they obtain the bird rights to Fournier so they can go over the cap to keep him.
Yep.
And it only cost them 2 second rounders. I think it was a fantastic move. It just makes me realize, boy, I don't think I do well living in Boston. I think they just like being mad up there. It's really cold. Like, does the weather just piss them off? I know I get kind of surly on a cold day.
They got spoiled with all them championships in the last, 10 years.
Oh, my gosh. They never had championships from – well, I guess in the 80s, the Celtics won everything.
I mean, they were getting Super Bowls. They got
I remember the Red Sox, like the whole nation was rooting for him just because we felt bad.
Yep.
All right. Hey, let's talk about this one. Tyler S on the in the chat saying Orlando got fleeced by Denver. Do you want to read off the details of that trade and we can talk about our thoughts on it?
The Aaron Gordon trade. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it fleece because I don't think people realize how good RJ Hampton is yet. But the trade consists of the Denver Nuggets sending out Gordon and Gary Clark, and Magic received Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a first-round pick. So, I mean, it gives the Nuggets that starting power forward. But I think
Remind
a backcourt.
When does Gordon become a free agent?
I believe next year or the year after.
I think you get him for the rest of this season and next season, and that's why it's only so much because at that point, obviously you can keep him, but he's going to require close to a max deal, wouldn't you think?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to expect one too.
Yeah, so you're getting RJ Hampton, who's on a cheap deal for the next 4 years and a first-round pick for it. Gary Harris is like whatever,
And I think next year when you have RJ Hampton and Markelle Fultz in the backcourt together, two high-paced guards, I mean, that's going to be a fun backcourt to watch. They're not going to be playoff bound or anything, but they're going to be a fun, entertaining NBA League Pass team.
Yeah, I think that's great for both sides. Number one, I mean, you already know what I think about the Magic and how they needed to make that, start making the moves, drop, tear it all down, right? I mean, it wasn't doing them any good to sit there and cover all these spreads and not win any games and have best case scenario they lose in the play-in, right? Break it all down. They got a bunch of draft picks now, and that's what you need because the draft is a tough process. So you need more cracks at it, What else do you got? Give me another trade. Let's break them all down here, Tyler.
The other one we got is a small one. The Wizards send Troy Brown and Mo Wagner to Chicago for Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchinson.
Okay, so
hear your opinion on this one first.
I'm trying to figure out. So Washington gets a better center, I guess.
I think a better defensive center
and Gafford,
would be a lot better on the boards, yeah.
And then what do the Bulls get out of it? Troy Brown, like what is he adding to their team?
Backup shooting guard. Mo Wagner's a stretch 4, I'd say stretch 5, the backup Voos.
You mean backup Markkanen?
Well, that's Thad Young's job.
This is a weird trade. Is there salary ramifications? Like
not really, because Gafford and Hutchinson are young guys. They're still on rookie deals. So this is just like a weird trade all around.
Yeah. Sorry, but no expert breakdowns or hot takes on this one.
Yeah, we got nothing on this one.
All right. So then you want to go to the Rondo trade? I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, we're still waiting on details about who was traded. I just read Lou Williams might be a part of that trade.
Why are they so anxious to get rid of Lou Williams?
He stinks.
You really think he's that bad?
I don't think he's what he used to be.
Yeah.
And they have no trade pieces, so they have to dump salary somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that he's pretty much the only one that they can move and pretty much find an easy replacement. But is Rondo's really better than Lou Williams at this point in their careers, huh?
I think they need a point guard in there to take the ball out of Kawhi's hands more and let them play as more of a team. Because how often do you see the Clippers just like get into the flow of the game and then Kawhi posts up, says, give me the ball. And he's in the post for 5 seconds trying to like start plays. And it just stops everything that team was just getting going.
And for everybody who complains basketball used to be better, that's exactly how basketball was for the entire 1980s. So for everyone who says that this new NBA is not good, sorry you guys missed post up so much. Yeah, I guess Rondo does make sense. And what's so funny is every year I do this because he just doesn't care about the regular season, and I'm like, why do people want Rondo? And then it seems like every year in the playoffs, like he raises his game, like not 1, not 2, but like 3 to 4 levels better.
He's just a great floor general. Like he just sees the game so well.
And he literally does not care about the regular season.
No.
I mean, it's just it almost like lulls you to sleep. All right, so how do you think Aaron Gordon fits in with the Nuggets? Like, how are you upgrading them? Because obviously, I think it's an upgrade for this year, for this season,
Oh, it's
right?
definitely an upgrade because not. I think they could play at a little bit of a faster pace. I mean, I know they're not a fast-paced team with Jokic being the center of their
Yeah.
offense, but I mean, switching Aaron Gordon. I mean, switching Paul Millsap for Aaron Gordon is a big switch in athleticism. I mean, now you got
Very much
another guy
so.
that could run the
Yeah.
floor, defend the hoop, catch oops. It's like they just need him to not be the guy that wants to stand out there and shoot threes like he wanted to in Orlando. Like, use your athleticism, play kind of like how Blake Griffin played when he was younger. But yeah, that trade is
Are you
finalized.
worried he makes a Porter Jr. redundant? Because Porter Jr. looks so much better at the 4. Now Porter Jr. has to go to the 3.
I think he's going to have a lot taller advantage on threes in the NBA, but he's going to lose the speed advantage he had on some of the bigger 4s in the NBA.
Yeah, and he seemed to kind of thrive on that speed advantage. He doesn't seem to be. I mean, yeah, he likes running the 4 better with the speed advantage. When the other guys are as quick as him, he kind of gets lost as far as like creating his own shot. Like he doesn't
Yep,
have
it's official.
like the creativity.
Rondo as a Clipper and Lou Williams and 2 second-round picks are heading to Atlanta.
Well, at least he's now he can get more wings. I
Dude,
mean, that'll be
Atlanta's
nice.
bench is going to be you're now going to bring Bojan Bogdanovic and Lou Williams off the bench. They're going to have a solid.
You don't think they miss that? They're going to end up missing that floor generalship?
I think they could a little bit, but they also have a lot of guys on that team that can handle the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you move Cam Reddish to the bench too; he could bring the ball up the floor.
Yeah.
Depending on how you want to play Gallinari, he could also be a bench guy. I mean, they could be sending out a second unit that could just hang points on these other teams left and right.
Yeah, I mean, for sure they'll be able to.
Because I don't think they're moving Collins.
I don't think so either. They would have at this point, and then also with what are they? I know they lost again last night, right? But they're 8-2 in their last 10.
Yep.
So they're obviously making a playoff run. I think I was looking; they're 7th right now, but you can get up to 4th. They're just one game out of 4th, right? So I think to them, even if they lose him for quote unquote nothing, it's worth it to keep Collins this year just to make the run because, when
Collins
you're Atlanta,
has played a lot better under the new coach. He's utilizing him a lot better.
Under McMillan? Well, I mean, it sucks because I really like Lloyd Pierce. I remember I retweeted something, where he was listing everything he does to coach defense. And I really liked him. I was impressed with him. I remember him as a point guard at Kansas, liked him there. But it just seems McMillan is so much better, and I wanted Pierce to be good, but as the season was going on, I kind of realized, wow, I can want someone to be good. It's just not going to make him good. So maybe he'll get some more time on a bench and come back and be good. But you're right, McMillan is using the players so much better. So
now it looks like his stars are going to be Young, Collins, Capella, Huter, and Tony Snell or DeAndre Hunter. And then once full,
DeAndre Hunter's going to start.
Yeah, so if you plug Hunter in, that means off the bench, you're going to be looking at Bogdanovic, Gallinari, Okongwu, and now Lou Williams.
All right.
And Cam Reddish, too, once he's back. So, I mean, that's a stacked bench to be throwing out there at other teams' second units. Now, just like Joey said in the chat, if they can put it all together, that's the only thing that matters. Chemistry is big when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, they've been doing it well. And let's be honest, that was a tough situational spot for them against the Sacramento Kings last night. They definitely seemed tired, and I've seen a lot of East Coast teams, or even vice versa, like that at the end of the road trip. What do you think about George Hill on the 76ers? How much does he help that team? Obviously they wanted Kyle Lowry. They're not getting him.
They just didn't want to pay the price for Lowry. They said
I wouldn't either. Why would you pay the price for a 35-year-old?
They said they wanted Maxey, Thibault, and 2 first-rounders. I'd have hung up the phone.
What would you think is fair, Maxey and a first-rounder?
I'd say that's doable, yeah.
And even that seems a little steep for a 35-year-old
because
player.
you're giving up a very young
All you're
point
really
guard.
trading for is the bird rights.
Yeah, and you're hoping you win it this year.
Well,
That's
you
basically
can bring
it.
him back next year. He'll still be kind of effective next year. But as we've seen, when you're in your late 30s, it just falls off a cliff. You're like effective. Shouldn't even be close to the league. It's not a slow decline for a lot of these players.
Aaron, I got a question for you, Spread. You might already know this answer, but NBA drafts have 2 rounds, which means every team has 2 picks per year, right?
Right.
In the next 7 years, can you tell me how many picks the Thunder have?
It's like 35.
Should be 34. You were right there.
Yeah. Something ridiculous, huh? I was thinking about it. They're going to do that thing like you would do in Madden where you'd like get 3 6th-round picks, trade them for a 5th. Then you get 3 5th-round picks, you trade them for a 4th. Like, they're just going to be moving up like left and right. Like, anyone who ever wants to trade down is going to be like, what's up, Sam Presti?
Yep. Or some team's just going to get loaded with first-round picks when they have a guy that wants out.
I know, huh? All
because
right.
OKC is, I still think of them as that team that, like, when a superstar wants out, they might not always list OKC on their list, but that's a team that always swoops in and grabs them. We've seen it happen the last couple times. Paul George. Who else did we see it happen with? Chris Paul. It's like guys swoop in, they just take them.
All right. What other trades you got for me?
The Raptors sending Norm Powell to the Portland Trailblazers for Gary Trent and Rodney Hood.
All right. This is my hottest take. Was this just stupid by Portland? Like, what are you
Yes
doing?
And no. Yes and no, because, I mean, if you're going to get the Norm Powell that you were getting the past couple weeks,
yeah,
solid pickup for them. Because,
okay,
I mean,
and he's going to cost you more money. He's older. I mean, like, how much does he really improve the team? Was Trent Jr. playing that bad?
I just think he was a smaller guard. Like, now you can put Norm at the 3, to where, like, Gary, once you try to put
Robert
Gary
Covington
Trent
was supposed to be, so you've given up 2 first-rounders and your best prospect to try and fill this hole.
Yeah, well, I mean, you try and put Gary Trent at the 3 with CJ and Dame in the backcourt. Whoever's on the other side is just going to torch them. So now you can play a little bigger.
You're right there. I mean, CJ and Dame, we've known that this isn't going to work like for 5
and I mean,
years. Like everyone knows it, but Neil Olshey.
I mean, this team at full strength are going to have a lot of options with lineups because then you could
let's be honest, they're never going to be full strength though, right?
Yeah,
I mean, is Zach Collins ever going to play, right? I mean,
yeah, you have Zach Collins.
Bagley should just go to the power forward retirement home.
Yep, but I mean, the lineup possibility with this team is going to be crazy once they have their guys healthy, if and when.
Yeah, I guess so. It just seemed to me like a lot to give up for a guy who's going to be a restricted free agent. You know, you gave up your best piece of drafting in the last 5 years, right?
How close do you think this team is in the West?
Not that close.
I think they're a lot closer than people think.
Yeah, Tyler S. does too. He says, give me Dame, CJ, Powell, Rocco, Nurse to compete for the West when they're all healthy.
Because, I mean, looking at the West, there's not a standout team. Everyone wants to book the Lakers for the finals again. They stink this year. Mm-hmm. The Clippers are flying under the radar, which kind of intrigues me because no one's talking about them. And everyone's
talking about them because every time they play a good team, they can't score in the last 5 minutes, and it's just Paul George playing hero ball.
And that's not a good thing.
Sides. Yeah.
And then everyone and their mothers.
I want to back the Clippers too, man, and they just make it so hard. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there.
And then everyone's backing Denver, so I mean, I think this Portland team's a sneaky look. Dame gets hot in the playoffs. I mean, it's gonna be hard to stop.
It's gonna be really hard to stop, especially now.
If Norm Powell's coming off the bench with a flamethrower too, good luck. Joey in the chat says the Heat are working on more than just Lowry trade per source.
And believe Joey because he's got a guy.
So he does have. He has multiple guys
that knows the NBA.
I wouldn't be surprised because they said there was a third team trying to get in on Lou Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if that's them to make that a 3-team trade.
Yeah. Guess that makes sense. Yeah, because I don't think Lou Williams fits in that crowded Hawks backcourt.
No, but one thing I want to touch on, he's probably not getting traded today. But how about Pascal Siakam's freak out spread?
Yeah, that was weird. And then, did you see like the awkward press conference?
Yeah,
Where
I mean,
they're like, "Oh, is everything cool?" And he's like, "Yeah."
I said it last year, and I was torn apart for it. They should have traded him when his value was at the highest. You could have got so much for him last year when everyone thought he was going to be a superstar, and then everyone realized that the spin move to the layup wasn't the way to superstardom.
I was thinking about that as I was making up that little list for the fun that JSU and I had yesterday. I remember talking to Mangone before the bubble, saying that Siakam and Jason Tatum, like we were actually having this argument, right?
Yeah.
On my list, I think I had Tatum at 13 and Siakam at like 38. So
yeah,
that means like he's dropped like 20 to 30 slots. Like
I just think he was
being dominant players.
He was in just such a good spot next to Kawhi, and he looked so good when all the attention was on someone else. And then the next year he played.
He looked pretty good.
Yeah, the next year he played pretty much very well. And then they should have dealt him right then because that's when they could have got everything for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. They probably should even deal him right now. I mean,
but right now you're not going to get what you want for him because A, he's playing a lot worse than he was, and B, the coaching spat between those two, a team knows they can get him for cheap.
Yeah, well, I would still do it though.
Yeah, I would put them between a rock and a hard place. I'd be like,
the way he was acting, you got to get him out of there.
They said like it was bad. They said like lines were crossed. He was talking about his family. It's like I don't know if that'll fly well.
Yeah, you got to get rid of him just off principle.
The Heat and Rockets are discussing a trade for Victor Oladipo.
Well, yeah, he's another one that it's like.
Yeah, that they might get him very cheap, like Duncan Robinson.
Who would want him?
Cheap.
He's not shooting that well. He can't play a back-to-back. I mean, like, I guess if you acquire him, you are going for the playoffs, right? But it's like,
yeah.
I mean, he's still an above-average defender, so you're going to get solid minutes out of him. So, I mean, I guess if you're a team like Miami, he's coming in to be the clear number 3, maybe even 4, depending on what they give up. You know, it's not that bad, but then it's almost like a rental for this year. I'm not going to want to resign him for the amount of money that he's got. And if you're Miami, I don't think this is the year to give up all the assets to go for things.
Yeah, and I mean,
patient. That Brooklyn window is like 2 years. You know, you don't want to be like the Houston Rockets and build this super team against the dynasty.
Very true.
Time it right? Like, what if the Rockets were emerging right now with that team that they had 2 years ago?
But the Heat are also in that spot where it's like a couple of your guys are young, so you could wait. But you're also looking at Butler, and it's like Butler can't really wait much longer with the way he plays.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to go now. And after making the finals last year, they kind of got like that taste of it.
Yeah, but does Oladipo really put you over? Okay, let's say we add Oladipo right now. We don't even take anyone off the Heat roster. I still like Brooklyn more.
I think Brooklyn. I have Brooklyn penciled in as my champion right now because I think Kevin Durant's doing every sports bettor a favor right now by being out because he's still letting us get the Nets at a nice price. The moment those three are back on the floor together and people realize how good that team is, they're going to be by far the betting favorite instantly.
And Kyrie and Harden, like, they don't play defense, but they choose not to. Like, they can.
And those two figured out how to play together, which was the one thing I thought was going to hold that team up.
Yeah, it's like this isn't that like, good. It's just so easy.
Yep, and this isn't like how
that great
were last year.
Yeah,
to where like you had guys sitting out, and then they finally came back, and then you had chemistry issues in the playoffs. You have 3 guys on the floor that are going to be selfless with the ball, and they could all score at will. I don't think you're going to have chemistry issues.
And no one's going to be ready for the defense. There's going to be no tape of it. You know, they're going to be like, wait, Kyrie's
there's going to be no tape of the offense either.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Tyler in the chat says Oladipo isn't the same player 3 years ago. I feel like I definitely move if I were Houston. Can they get Hero out of it? Give me Lowry over Oladipo right now. I pretty much agree with everything you said.
I agree with that.
But yeah, you got to get rid of him if you're Houston. I think Houston knows they kind of made a mistake with the LeVert trade. I don't really know what they were hoping for there, because even just the extra year on the contract, right? So it's like you're not in that push to move Oladipo. The first year of the play-in, I don't know. Kind of seems wild. Yeah, Tyler. Yeah, they've even said that. Harden's the point guard, Kyrie's the off-ball scorer.
Yeah, that's
I think it works
definitely.
perfect.
Yep.
It puts Kyrie in the best role. It's kind of the same role that he played next to LeBron when they were making their runs, and it just works
And now
fine
he
for him.
just gets to be a mercenary scorer next to those two.
Yeah,
That's why I think they're the clear-cut favorite to me.
yeah. Yeah, I'm still surprised that the Hawks added Lou Williams. I really wonder how that's going to work. Do you think he's going to get a lot of time?
I think he could get like 15 to 20. I think he'll play a lot next to like Cam Reddish and those guys. He'll go out there with the taller of the wings and play point guard. I don't see them putting him on the floor with like Huter and them. I think Huter might stay in the starting lineup next to Trae Young.
Yeah. All right, 15 more minutes till the deadline goes.
It says the Miami Heat are still not offering Tyler Hero, which they shouldn't for Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
That's the one thing that the Toronto wants bad is Tyler Hero, but can't give that up for a 35-year-old point guard.
Yeah, Tyler has given
Bogdanovich.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I think the Heat might have moved off the Lowry talks and moved to Oladipo now. Because without giving up Hero, with them not giving up Hero and them not budging, they're probably like, screw this. Would
you trade Duncan Robinson for Oladipo?
I would.
I wouldn't.
He's not shooting as well as he was. I would. You're getting a defensive guy that, if he fixes his shot, can also create his own shot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, if Duncan Robinson ain't shooting you that three off that screen, he ain't getting you nothing. He can't play defense. They'll torture him in the playoffs. So
that's true.
I'd take Oladipo with the cross my fingers that he fixes his shooting percentage.
Yeah, Tyler S. has given Bogdanovich $60 million was a mistake. Yeah, it was so funny because they roasted, the national media roasted the Kings for not matching that offer just to try and get something out of him. And we were like, no, because a bad contract's worse than no contract. I agreed with our new guy McNair not re-signing him, and
let's get some fun in this last 10-minute spread.
Yeah, I'm waiting. So, like,
I feel like we're just going to go through these last 10 minutes and nothing's going to happen. Everyone's going to be like in a stalemate.
I'm surprised so much happened. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about that I actually think is a sneaky good move? Miami adding Bielika.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big man that could shoot threes.
He's going to fill that Jay Crowder position that they played last year. And it's like, yeah, Crowder's better defensively than Bielika, but gosh, at this point, Crowder's defense isn't what it once was, right? Like, people are acting like he's still like the Jay Crowder that was on like Boston,
Yeah, it's like, well, he did
like a top defender.
Him in Miami last year, he was lights out from three.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was when they dropped him. I was like, it's not good.
Yeah.
It says the Sixers are reportedly still in the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes, but their current offer is their final offer. And the Raptors are reportedly comfortable with keeping Lowry past the deadline. Their offer has to be the maxi and 2 first-rounders. Or they might also be offering Danny Green.
Danny Green.
Got to match some salary somehow, spread.
Who did Mo Harkless get traded for?
Bielitsa.
Oh, Mo Harkless was part of that trade?
Yeah. Mo Harkless, Chris Silva for Bielitsa.
Has he even played?
No, I mean, ever since he's left Portland, he hasn't done much.
So how much do we think Rondo really helps the Clippers?
I think it depends on how they use him.
I mean, if
they let
keep
him,
Paul George from taking stupid shots at the end of the game, it's worth it, right?
Oh, 100%. Now, if they're going to plug him in as their starting point guard and just let him run the offense.
No, he's not. He'll be the backup point guard, but he might be the closing point guard.
Yeah, I think closing point guard has to be the closing point guard.
Do you think he'll be able to get it through to George? And do you think the shot selection at the end of the game is going to be better, or do you think it's?
I think he'll just be
lost cause.
I think he'll be able to put him in comfortable spots. Don't try and dribble and take your step back threes. I'm going to set you up. This is where you're going to catch the ball off this screen, and then you're going to shoot. I'm going to put it right where you want it. Instead of
Paul George, you're not Titletown. I don't want to see that step back.
Yeah. We don't need that off the dribble. It's just set him up in the corner.
I can't believe the Kings didn't drop anyone except for Bielika. Unbelievable.
Don't they do this every year, though? They're the big – we're going to dump all our salary. We're going to dump all our salary, and then they don't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, at least the Magic got the right idea.
Well, they finally realized it was time after losing as the 8 or 7 seed the last 3 years.
Yeah.
They're still in rebuild.
I wonder how bad they're going to be.
Era. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. No, not really. Because as a Kings fan, I know how hard it is to rebuild in the NBA when you're not getting.
I love the way you were like, yeah, and then you thought about it, you're like, never mind.
Yeah. So let's talk about effects. Fournier, how much do you upgrade the Celtics? If you're doing power rankings, what's he worth? A point and a half? What do you think?
I'd say a point, because I think he helps their second unit push these teams more.
How much does Rondo improve the Clippers from power ranking standpoint?
I think it all depends on how they use them. If Ty Lue utilizes them well, I think it could be a great pickup. Maybe a point and a half, even 2 points. But
oh wow, okay.
Because he could change that whole offense, taking the ball out of Kawhi's hands and letting him play more off ball.
For Aaron Gordon, how much does he improve the Nuggets from a point spread perspective?
I'd say about a half a point. I'm not big on Gordon.
Really?
I'm not big on him because I think this could be one of the ones where he just doesn't fit. He just doesn't like being the fourth fiddle on an offense.
Well, the only reason I didn't like it is I think it makes him kind of obsolete. I wanted him to go to a smaller team like Portland.
Nurkic will be back tomorrow.
Trent for how long?
I don't know. It just says you said Nurkic calf plans to play Friday.
Yeah. Who's going to get injured first, him or is that Collins? Unbelievable. IC says, let's tell me what you think of this one. I think this is interesting. Definitely worth debating. Rondo does not help the Clippers as much as Lou Williams helps the Hawks. Tyler, your thoughts?
I'm opposite on that one because I just think Lou Williams could get lost in the shuffle in that whole bench unit for the Hawks. And he hasn't been playing the same as he was before. He's not the same sixth man of the year we were seeing. Mm-hmm. And with Rondo's floor general, the way he plays, the way he sees the floor, I just think that fits perfectly for his Clippers offense.
Yep. I definitely understand your point there. As far as to IC's point, though, I do agree almost.
I see where he's coming from because, if Lou Williams does come off that bench and he's just torching these second units, it's going to look great. Atlanta's going to have an extra scorer and an extra guard off the bench.
Well,
I just don't.
Yeah, the weakness is watch the offense when Trae Young's out of the game.
Yeah, they don't have a scorer or guard.
Yeah, Bogdanovich is not filling that role. I watched him in Sacramento too. It's he can create his own shot, but he's not a shot creator. Same with Gallinari. He can get a look, but he's not just
Sacramento made a trade.
Oh, who'd we dump? Talk to me.
No, Yins didn't dump anybody. Toronto is trading guard Terrence Davis to Sacramento for a future second round. Another draft spot opened up another roster spot opened up for Toronto.
Okay. Terrence Davis, what does that mean? How do you handicap the Kings now, Tyler?
They're gonna win the
championship. Change him in your power rankings.
It doesn't change much.
He might not. I'd rather have Terrence Davis and Corey Joseph.
Yeah,
talking about Raptors rejects.
I know a lot of people in that like the Raptors were talking about Terrence Davis being their new young up and coming guy. So I don't hate the pickup for the Kings. His development might be a little stunted now that he's on the Kings, but
Well, because with Corey Joseph, like we weren't going anywhere, and like even the minutes were like a waste of time. All you're getting is like average NBA minutes from an average NBA role player. There's no development at all going on. How old is Davis? I mean, does he at least fit in the timeline with Fox and those guys?
Yeah, he's about 24. I
I
mean,
like it.
he's a young player.
Second round picks aren't what everyone thinks they are.
Yeah, like you're not going to get anything out of them.
You get like
Every once in a while you get
like,
one right, but
there's two good players that come out of the second round every year. So you have like a 1 in 15 chance.
5 minutes. Anybody
So you're
gonna
looking
do
at like
anything?
6% chance. I guess that's not that bad for a second round pick, but once every 15 years. All right, we can stop showing the clip of Kyle Lowry throwing up. Oh my gosh! All right.
Everyone's on this Kyle Lowry move, and I don't think he's going to get moved. We got 5 minutes.
I think he is because of the two other trades. Why would they open up those roster spots otherwise?
I think they're thinking they're gonna back one of these teams into a corner and get more than.
I think they will. So
But
I
I don't
the
think
roster spots are for all the filler. Like, I mean, who's gonna be the filler? Like Kelly Olynyk and.
But I don't think the Heat want to alter their entire rotation for this guy. And I don't think Philly wants to either, and I don't think the Lakers will either.
But you don't think it'll just be a bunch of I see 5 minutes until the deadline. I mean, it's just a bunch of dead weight, anyways, right? Like, almost like the same joke. Like Kelly Olynyk leaves the Heat. How much do you change him in your power rankings?
Yeah, I agree.
0.1, maybe.
But when you're only bringing back one guy into your rotation, then you got to plug in all these other guys, and it's just like you could pick up the guy you want and turn into a worse team because you gave up too much.
Well, that's always it. But it's also mitigated by the fact that you can also miss out on an opportunity, almost like Boston's done like the last 3 years, hanging on to all those first round picks that ended up becoming Carson Edwards and Romeo Langford and Grant Williams, right? It's like, in hindsight, they would have been better off,
trading those
taking
picks.
the chance, But that's obviously hindsight. If they would nailed those picks.
I mean, Robert Williams is looking like that he was a solid
I
pick.
didn't mention Robert Williams in there. He's a good pick.
Oh, you didn't? I thought that caught that
said
name
Grant
in there.
Williams.
Okay,
Williams. Yeah. No, Robert Williams is a good pick, especially because he went at like 26, 27, didn't he?
Yep.
Well, did he drop because of like character issues, and then he shows up late, like everything that he got right afterwards, like fulfilling the prophecy right off the bat? Yeah.
No Lonzo Ball trade. Sources tell ESPN he's staying in New Orleans per Woj. The Pelicans are.
I want to see him on Chicago.
To send JJ Redick to the Mavericks.
I don't hate that.
I don't mind that either. That gives them another.
It's going to be for a second round pick, right?
Yeah, that's going to be
probably a protected second round pick.
I think they could salary dump a guy because Redick does make a decent bit of money. Twatty is in the chat. He says, "Why doesn't Charlotte trade one of their 7 point guards?" That's a very good question, Twatty. They love having a deep guard rotation in Charlotte.
Well, they're able to absorb that injury.
Yeah, how about that injury? Me and you were talking like a couple nights before that. I'm like, man, really wish Anthony Edwards would have picked it up earlier so we had like a rookie of the year race. Yeah. Now we technically kind of do because now it's pretty much.
Now it's got to be Anthony Edwards versus Halliburton, right? Is
your
rookie of the year race? Yeah.
Part of me wants to take Halliburton, like put a sprinkle a little bit on him.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, let's be honest. Halliburton's a much better player, but Anthony Edwards has such good dunks. It's going to be a close race.
But I mean, would it surprise you if he doesn't like if he has a stretch where he just shoots terribly from the field?
Who, Halliburton or Edwards?
Edwards. And once
he's already having that stretch.
And once Beasley comes back, Beasley takes a lot of that usage away. And if Russell ever gets healthy, there goes more usage away from him. So this could turn into a Halliburton on his own race.
Well, it might. I mean, I think logically it's pretty obvious. It's just because Anthony Edwards is so high profile.
So no,
right? I mean, I do it too, right? I mean, I fall victim to it too, right? I'm always
Andre Drummond to be bought out by the Cavs. Nothing we didn't know already.
Where do you think he ends up? I'm guessing Brooklyn.
I think so too, because they said Brooklyn's trying to do everything they can to make sure he doesn't end up a Laker. But they said the Knicks are also in on him because I don't get why.
Because why?
But they
then
said
again, when you're the Knicks, right? You can afford to do these things, right?
Well, that and plus he's looking at, like, if he's looking for a payday, he's not going to get it with the Lakers and he's not going to get it with the Nets. You go to the Knicks, you're in the playoffs, you play a ton of minutes for Tom Thibodeau. They're going to have a shit ton of cap space. You re-sign your 4-year, $60 million deal in New York next year and you make your money.
Yeah. So I guess my point is I didn't make it very well, but when you're Orlando and you've just struggled and you haven't made you made the playoffs and you keep flaming out, you blow it up. But when you're the Knicks, when's the last time you guys made it? Like 2014?
Yeah, it was. I think it might have been a year before that, 13.
Yeah, and so basically my point was when you're like that, you can afford to go ahead and sell out just to make the playoffs, just to renew enthusiasm around the franchise, right? Build winning ways, winning patterns, and make yourself attractive. Because look how quickly things can turn around now, right?
Yep.
If we were to have this conversation exactly 1 year ago today, no free agent would want to join the Phoenix Suns, right? They add Chris Paul, they continue to develop their young pieces, and I would say that they're going to be, a max buyout guy. I could see could go in there, right? For the minimum salary. And I think the same thing. The minimum bets next year will also put Phoenix up there because you really are playing for a championship now. You're not taking a vet minimum to go be a loser, So
Exactly.
Tyler S. wants Drummond in Dallas, get KP back to the 4.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
I mean,
that would be
that would be huge. So what's so funny is, and this is why it came up yesterday when we were talking with JSU. And I was saying rim protecting. I said the reason I put Gobert over Mitchell was a rim protecting 5. An elite rim protector is harder to find than an elite scorer. And,
I agree.
While Donovan Mitchell is an elite scorer and elite offensive player, that I can think of 20 or 30 of those, and I can only think of 4 or 5 elite rim protectors. And I don't even put Drummond in the elite category, right? But he's an above average rim protector, right? He helps all the teams he's in play for. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, the Lakers helps immensely. The Nets, he would help immensely, right? I mean, where do you think he would fit the best, Tyler?
I mean, probably the Lakers.
Yeah,
but
I think Brooklyn, but we'll see. I think Brooklyn's okay right now.
Move. They traded for Trey Lyles, just a small move.
Who did?
The Mavericks.
They added Trey Lyles?
They add Trey Lyles and JJ Redick.
Yeah, so that means they're probably not doing anything. It's the people making roster spots that kind of makes news. Technically, it's done. Are we going to get any more news, you think, or do you think we're done?
I think we could get a couple more quick ones because it technically the deadline has hit. But if the teams are on call, like working the trade out, it could still go through.
Oh, okay.
But nobody could pick up the phone now and make any calls.
Okay.
The Bulls are close to sending, what was that? Mo Wagner to the Celtics for Daniel Tice. So that pretty much inserts Mr. Robert Williams as their starting center.
Why would the Celtics do that?
Spreads the floor. I mean, Mo Wagner's that stretch guy. He can spread the floor a little bit. I would have rather have dealt Thompson. I would have rather have dealt Thompson instead, but
no one wants Thompson.
That's the thing. No one wants him in that contract.
The only thing you can deal him to is reality show executives. No one else wants him. Yeah, Tyler. Tyler disagrees with me on Gobert. He's so one-dimensional, provides zero offensive upside. $200 million for one-dimensional player is kind of crazy. I mean, we give $200 million to guys that could just score.
I mean,
Otto's going to get it, and that's all he can do.
Otto Porter made $124.
Yeah, so, I mean that's part of the debate, Tyler, and it was just kind of having fun, and that's why it came out. Is because most of my takes are so vanilla and straightforward, and
I actually agree with you on that one.
Yeah, you should have seen JSU and Mangone, and they're like, "Why aren't we live on the show while you said this?"
Because
They both almost fell out of their
I think
chair.
if you took their team and restarted the year and said, all right, Gobert, you're going to sit out this whole year.
Yeah,
I don't think Utah's anywhere near their record is.
No, they're like 7th.
Restart the season, pull Mitchell off. I think those 3-point shooters can keep them in the game.
Yeah, and I think that it's like they can add a player that does what Mitchell does. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, they could have traded for Zach LaVine or something, right? I mean,
you're not going to find a 7-foot guy that can defend the rim like that.
Because as much as we talk about Drummond, right, he's like nowhere near the level of consistency on the rim protection. Like Drummond will give you those highlights, but he also does breakdowns too. He's way more prone to fouls. I mean, it's just, he's not as good as what Rudy does. Cool, Tyler. I'm glad you're having a good time. I'm glad you guys are hanging out too. Tyler and I just figured push it back. This would be something fun we could do. Just kind of stay on the air and break down these trades, as they continue to roll in. So no Lonzo Ball on the move.
No Lonzo Ball, and it looks like no Kyle Lowry or Oladipo unless something changes. But, I mean, we're 5 minutes past and nothing's happened.
Yeah.
I think we might be staying out with the guards.
Let's go ahead and go over all the games now with the new news. So let's assume that there's no more trades, and obviously interrupt me if not. But so Miami Heat did not acquire Kyle Lowry, did not break everything down. Trailblazers, we already knew about it. So this line of +2 indicates they know that Gary Trent will not play and will not be on the team, and Norm Powell will not play for the Trailblazers. Now, what are we thinking of the Miami Heat -2? What do you think, Tyler?
It's still a tough spot for me until I know if Butler's going to play or not, because he's listed questionable with an illness.
All right, let's assume that he's going to play.
He plays, give me the Heat. He doesn't play, give me Kendrick Nunn's points prop over 11.5.
I love it. See, I love these type of if-thens. This is fantastic stuff, right? So people know where to go when they get that news. You want to get that news, turn on over to the Run Pure Sports channel. They'll go live with the Hardwood Live show, and they'll be up to date on all those news. Use it filling up lineups. But if you're like me and you're relying on this news, you can also use it to place bets as well. I know that I do. Let's go to the next game. So the Wizards and Knicks, right? Probably not going to make a move. I know we had talked about this one earlier.
I got to cut you off for 1 second, Spread.
Cut me off.
I got to trade for our boy Twatty. Will love this one.
Oh, got to hear
the
it.
Hornets got another one. They traded for a point guard. They traded for Brad Wanamaker from the Warriors. They add another guard to their rotation.
Why?
Don't know. Michael Jordan loves his guards.
Brad Wanamaker hasn't even been playable for the Warriors, who need a ball handler, right? I mean, it's like what he does is their number one need. If he wasn't able to fill it, why do you think he's going to help your team?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
He's not even worth like the 58th pick.
I want to know what they got back in return for it.
Has to be a second rounder, right?
You would think. Hopefully they dumped some player that they thought was just like a toss away.
All right.
Well, Tony would love it in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they made that trade because they saw him in the chat and they knew he'd get his cool reaction. So real quick, let's talk about the Knicks Wizards. You like the total on this game, right?
Yeah, I like the total in the Knicks side. Give me the over.
What was the total again? I'm sorry, all these trades rattle my brain.
Over 224.5.
Over 224.5. Okay, you're asking me to bet. You not have to twist my arm to get me to bet an over on the Washington.
That's what I mean. Like it's like I want to twist your arm to bet a Knicks over, but I'm also giving you the luxury of betting a Wizards over. So it's like that push and pull effect.
Yeah. I think that the Wizards are going to will them into going over here by simply playing such bad defense. The Knicks won't be able to help themselves. They'll have to score. All right, cool. I just placed that bet as well.
Oladipo trade's done to Miami.
Who'd they give up?
It doesn't say yet. It just says Victor Oladipo has been traded to the Heat. Still waiting on guys. So, I mean,
right.
So
we'll go back to that. Yeah, because I see the Heat's games off the board.
Did we hit the Blazers now? Or they already yanked it off the board?
Yeah, they yanked it off the board. So we'll talk about it when it reopens and we get the news. Clippers and Spurs. Obviously, Rondo doesn't play tonight. I mean, the loss of Lou Williams, does that even change the point spread to you? Did not change the point spread for Bookmaker.
I don't think so.
And where did you like this game?
I like Philly to win here, and I like
No, this
Tobias.
is the Clippers Spurs game.
Oh, it's the Clipper Spurs game?
Yeah.
I mean, this is my spot where I was taking the Spurs team total under 108.5.
Okay.
For all our guys that have the legal books like DraftKings, they are still hanging a Portland money line at plus 106. I'm taking a shot on that. Miami had to have given up some rotation guys here, at least one of them.
I mean, if I'm Houston and Miami says we're not giving you Hero, the best we'll give you is Duncan Robinson and a second. I would do it.
Yeah.
Just for Duncan Robinson. That's how little I value Oladipo for a team like Houston. I'm not.
Claudio's not about these guard heavy rotations. Now he's on Miami. He's like, they got Dragic, Nunn, Oladipo, Hero. Is that necessary?
Well, I mean, the game of basketball switched. Teams no longer start 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center. They now start 3 guards, 1 forward, and a center. So it's not as surprising as it would think.
One of those guys, I would say, likely Dragic is on the way out because you got to match that salary somehow.
Yeah, but they're going to do it with the mismatch of like Olynyk and bench players. Iguodala. Yeah, does he even play anymore? No, remember when that was supposed to be like a big pickup? I'm like, God, the guy's like 38. Come on.
Woj tweets out the Raptors are keeping Kyle Lowry, so we don't have to worry about that one.
All right. So I played that team total. Thank you for reminding me there. Warriors and Kings. Not a lot of big moves here. Lions still minus 2.5. You like the...
Give me the Warriors here.
With no Steph, huh?
Yep.
That's brave.
I think it's a letdown spot for the Kings.
I completely agree with you. It's like there's 2 teams I want to fade. How do I fade them both at the same time, Tyler?
We take the under.
But it's a Kings game.
Yeah, but it's a Kings game and they ain't playing defense, so no, we don't do that.
Take the under in a Kings game. Total 226. That might be the lowest Kings total since like 2018. All right, let's stay away from that game. And my best bet, still sticking with it. Doesn't look like we're going to have any major news to stick it up. The 76ers minus 5.5, my favorite play of the day. IC likes the under in the Kings game. Yeah, I mean, you can play that. I just I don't like playing the unders in Kings games, especially if the Warriors are kind of a quick team too here. I think even if the Kings get blown out, they score a lot of points. They'll just give up even more. So, all right, Tyler, do you think that we got anything else for everybody before we get out of here?
I think that's it, spread. We locked in our best bets. We did all the trade deadline stuff. Kyle Lowry's still a Raptor. They opened up them roster spots for nothing. So that's that.
Yeah, that is kind of funny that they did that, huh? But from where they're at, I guess they'll bring up some of the 905 Live or whatever the G League is team and run it.
Yeah.
All right, so our schedule for the rest of the week, we're going to go tomorrow. It will be joined by AP, right? So we'll be the little DFS. You're with me there, right? I think it'll be just you and me on Saturday. Then we'll take Sunday off again because of the tournament. I know that you guys love your tournament. And then we will be back on Monday with Hoop. So that is the schedule for the NBA Rundown. Guys, I didn't get much of the plug, but you guys know the deal. Head on over to runpurebets.com. Promo code BETS25 off. Get access to all Tyler and I's best bets, access to the Discord, access to the pregame articles, and access to the Keg live show, the most profitable live betting show on the internet. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Tyler, Mr. Prop Guru, do you got anything else for him before I go ahead and end this broadcast?
Nope. I mean, best bets are already out, so we just need to lock those tickets in, wait for them to cash.
Yeah, hope it goes better than last night. Last night I was trying to stay in a good mood, and I just, Pacers fell short by 1 point. That was kind of frustrating. I realized I made the wrong call on the Nuggets. That gets frustrating too. I don't know what's worse, the bad beats or when you just know you're wrong. But, night ended up pretty strong for us. I was able to kind of squeak out, just a slight losing night. And for as many bad reads as I had, I'll take it. But I feel so much better about our plays tonight. And I feel like tomorrow, when we're finally handicapping, it's like, this is the part that I've been waiting for all year, right? No more All-Star break, no more trades hanging over these heads, right? The playoff situation is completely defined. We know who's playing for what. We know who's tanking. This is the best time of the year to cap the NBA, and it runs us straight into the NBA playoffs. We'd love for you to join us and enjoy all the winning. So head on over to runpurebets.com so you too can become a member and do all that winning with us. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, and run pure.